Talk to me nice, talk to me honestly. Look in my eyes, don't let it fall on.
Well, hi everyone. Welcome to the How to Balance Work and Family with a Career in Sales panel. I'm Sora Johnston, Enterprise Account Executive here at Twilio, and my pronouns are she, her. I'm so excited. We have a great conversation prepared for you all today with perspectives from working moms, from current moms, from people who want to be moms, from people who don't want to be moms. So we're really excited to share our insights with you. First, I would love to, before we get started, give you more information about our company, Twilio. Twilio is the leading cloud communications platform. We enable builders to programmatically use SMS for text messaging, voice, video, basically any kind of communications that you can think of to communicate directly with their customers and do that all over APIs. For us, non-technical folks, ways that you can think about Twilio would be if you call an Uber or you get a DoorDash order and you get that text message or you get that call from a driver through a masked number, that all those millions of messages are powered by Twilio. We want to be really conversational throughout this panel. So we definitely recommend that you go in the chat, introduce yourself, add any questions that you might have. And as we go along, we'll pick out some of those questions and answer those live. Awesome. So we hope that with this panel, you can definitely get some important insights that you can take away from here, some good nuggets on how to balance your work, your family, while pursuing your career in sales. I know that we've all struggled to balance and juggle everything, especially during the pandemic. It's been quite difficult, with our personal lives. So I really hope that you can walk away with some actionable items for today. So without any further ado, I'll let the team, the panel, awesome ladies here, introduce themselves. Let's get started by having you all say where you're located, what your role is at Twilio, if you're a mom, aspiring mom, or don't plan on having kids, like where you stand on that, and maybe an interesting hobby that you participated outside of work. Why don't we start with Leandra?
Hi, everybody. I am Leandra Pitts. I'm a senior business analyst for the sales ops team. I am located in the Bay Area. I have two children, 7 and 9. And I guess an interesting fact, I recently developed a love for kayaking, which is really random, but I love it. I love the water.
Love that. Jill?
Yeah, thank you so much. So my name is Jill Barrientos. I am located in New York City. I am the mother of a daughter and a beagle. They're both 14. I'm from the Dominican Republic, and actually I'm an account executive for the mid-market. This just means that I can to help organizations build those meaningful communications that Sarah just mentioned. And outside work, I like reading fiction and sci-fi books. And I'm also building a health app for Hispanics here in the US. So thank you so much for having me.
Awesome. And Tiffany?
Hello, everyone. I am Tiffany. I am located in Houston, Texas. I am a mom of 3. They span all ages. I have a teenager, a 10-year-old, as well as a 6-year-old. So middle school, elementary, and pre-high school. My house is very interesting these days. I've been with Twilio a little bit over a year. So I actually onboarded during COVID. I came into the company as a senior customer success manager, working with our largest ISVs. And some things that I really enjoy outside of work is I love real crime, true crime. Like I could join like the boards and I will solve crimes. Like that's what I like to do, as well as genealogy. So look forward to
Nice.
Oh, love that. Great. And as I mentioned, I'm Sora Johnston. I'm an enterprise account executive, meaning along with Jill, I get to support some of our largest customers with their customer engagement strategies. And I am not a mom. I'm the oldest of 7. So I kind of feel like I already went through the parenting journey, raising my younger siblings, had a lot of responsibility on my plate. So don't plan on having kids, but anything could happen in the future. Things might change. Who knows? One of my many hobbies is that I play African hand drums. So here in San Francisco, I love to go to Golden Gate Park and play on Hippie Hill or in Oakland or, with different live bands and things like that. So I really love drumming, and it's good workout, good energy. And I'm really excited to kind of jump in here into the panel. So first question for the moms and the aspiring moms. What did you worry about after you had your child, you were re-entering the workforce? What were some of the concerns that you had that you wanted to be able to address?
I can go first.
Okay.
Yeah. So for me, it was about, kind of getting into this routine of having to drop this little person off somewhere. And I was a nursing mom. So I like that whole ordeal of getting my workplace to get a proper place for me to do that was very stressful. But like for me, it was just like, I guess the majority of it was just coming from like, am I doing this the right way? Right. Because there's no playbook, every company is different. Every situation is different. And so it was just like getting my schedule together, having to kind of, even when I was having work breaks, they weren't my own because I was having to, pump and do all of these different things. So for me, it was just like trying to stay sane and above water and having to like get these new tasks and hoping that I could stay focused enough on my job, even though I had all of these other things that now were on my plate as a mother.
Do I go next? How do you want to do this?
Well, if you have something to add, Jill, please do.
Oh, sorry. Sure. For me, I was younger. So I was like 21 and I was working for American Airlines, and I was also a full-time college student. So I feel like at that point, I was just in a ongoing pace of not thinking, not even like the repercussions of like not having that much time to spend with my daughter, right? So I was always on that feeling of like, okay, I need to find the time to spend time with her. But then I also have to like make sure that I finish school, and I was also newly basically in my new job in American Airlines and all this stuff. So I feel like at that point, what worried me was being in that mentality of like always going, but not having like that quality time with her. On the work side of things, because of the nature of the job, is very repetitive in a sense. So you go to the airport and you have a schedule, and you have a task to do, you have a flight is gone, you're done. So it's not like the job that I have today, which you actually have to strategize around accounts and things like that. But so that helped a lot. So it depends also on the how much focus should you have or can you have in work while you're also navigating coming back to work with a newborn in that in your house. So that was my experience at least.
Yeah, the logistics, the juggling everything, all these different weights and priorities, and then now you have this person that you're responsible for. It's so crucial for you to be able to balance everything, to have a circle of people to support you, to have systems and processes. So Jill, I'm curious, like now you're a little bit progressed in being a mom. Obviously, you have a very different job. You have an older child. I'm curious, what are some of the strategies that you're currently using in order to juggle everything now?
I must say I am very blessed, and I have to say maybe because of the way our families. I'm Hispanic, and we all stay together. So even though I was always working, I always had my sister who was a teacher, and she had her kids around the same age, so she would pick them up, and I would drop them early. So it was all like a whole system of support. The two grandmother were close as well. So the grandmother's like, no, I'm not gonna work because I'm not gonna let anybody else take care of my grandkids. So she literally just stopped working to take care of like all these three grand daughters. So I was blessed on that end. But still, I had to learn to plan, which I did not know how to do before. I actually had so many things that I had to juggle, and not only plan ahead, but also like hold myself accountable to that specific time that I booked to complete the task. And now I'm able to do so many different things, and it's because I have my calendar for personal things that I keep track of. With my friends, they tell me, "Hey, pin me in for this day because I'm going down to New York, on the 22nd." So they know to tell me pin me for that day because they know I want to have a whole calendar of things to do. So that kind of like helped me a lot to stay organized and hold myself accountable to like if I'm meeting with someone, meet that deadline, be in that meeting, be in that event, be in that party, with my daughter, whatever that is. Just write it down, put it in your calendar, and stick to it.
It's one of the best Twilio values. Write it down. So
Write it down.
you live and die by your calendar. You have a village that supports you. I love that so much. You know, Tiffany, just like the rest of the women here, you have a lot on your plate that you're trying to juggle. So what do you do? Or what are some of your strategies to balance it all?
Automate, delegate, eliminate. Let me say that again. Automate, delegate, or eliminate. I really go along with the seasons. I think that, this is a little sidebar, but a lot of things in nature, if we watch nature, there's a time for things to spring forth and bud. There's a time for things to fall off. There's a time for things to go dormant. So understanding that nature has a rhythm, we should also have that type of a rhythm as well. We can't maintain that same strong momentum all the time. There's a time to kind of retreat and revive yourself. So during my retreats, I kind of review my whole household and my job, and I look for things that I can actually automate. Are there things like systems? Because time is a commodity that we can't get back. You can make more money, but you can't create more time. So I look at those types of things, even if it's bill paying, how I pay my bills. Can I automate that process? Because that may be an hour I can spend with my kids. So the things that I looked at particularly was the things that I was doing after hours, after work, and on the weekends. Having someone to come in and clean your house. We have a beautiful thing with sales. If you need to make more money, you make more calls, and you can delegate that income to the things that give you more time. So that was I'm telling you, automate, delegate, eliminate. It's really changed my house.
Follow up on that, Tiffany. What is something that you've automated that has helped you take the most time off of your plate? I'm curious.
I would definitely say finances, because one of the things in our community specifically is financial health. We work really hard. We have an opportunity that most people don't have in sales to really generate a high income. So automating bill pay, automating savings, automating retirement, looking and seeing what that looks like, to make sure that you're in a good, comfortable place for whatever your financial goals are in the future. Something that I delegated was wash and fold. It's 99 cents a pound. Just drop it off, let it be done. And I'm trying to think of something that I eliminated. Maybe cooking as my kids get older, allowing them to cook, buying the recipe books for them to actually cook, and me not figuring why do I have to do all this myself? So yeah.
Allowing them. That's a mindset shift that my mother frequently says. I didn't do it. I allowed you to do it. Yeah. I enabled you to do it. I empowered you.
Yes.
I'm gonna use that. I am so gonna use that right now.
Oh, if my kids help me, they get bonus points, and once you get a certain amount of bonus points, you get $5. So they always are like, "No, Mom, I want to help you today." I'm like, yes, come. Yes.
This is an important aspect of both sales and life, incentivizing the behaviors we want from others.
Yes. Compensation drives behavior. Yes, it does.
Yes. They have a list of what they have to do, but then there's these extra things that you can do, and you'll earn something for doing those. So
yeah,
they opt into those,
I love that.
Yes.
So we're talking now about things that we have to, get off of our plate, that we have to manage. Another thing we have to manage is boundaries. We also need to be able to have that space where this is my workspace, this is my home space, this is my family space. The time I spend with the kids is not touched by the job. The time I spend on the job, vice versa. How are you all able to hold up those boundaries, and really keep those spaces separate? I like to call it work-life integration or work-life balance, particularly when you need to say no to things. How are you managing those situations?
I would say with COVID, it made it pretty tough, right? And just, the kid, for me, I started at Twilio, I think about 6 months into the COVID situation. So I started virtually, and my kids had been home for months, and they don't understand mommy doing, because I had got laid off. So I wasn't working. So we were all just home, just hanging out. Right. And so once it came to no, mommy has to be in this meeting. If I'm in this room and this door is closed, you need to be over there. And so it took them a while to kind of get into that groove. But really, like I made signs, and it's like, if you see the sign on the door, unless your arm is falling off, do not come in here. And it's just like really, you have to get your house to work with you, right? It can't just be one person making the push to like set all the rules, right? And I try not to be the sheriff. I hate that role. And so really getting the kids, my partner, like to understand if this door's closed and this door's closed, don't come in here, and really involving more, because you can't do it all by yourself. And so it's getting my kids to understand, getting my partner to understand, and actually like advocating for yourself, right? Because like where my office is here, this is the den. So this is a very high traffic area in my house. And so like to get them to understand, like between 8 and 5, it's not. Sorry. If you want to go in the backyard, you can go around the house and go back there, but this is not going to be your gateway, from this time frame, And so I think for me, it was just like really getting the other members of my household to understand it, but then also involving my manager as well, of, like, hey, from this time to this time, I need to give that to my kids. This is an important time in my household. It's a whole lot going on. I can't really focus anyway, and really like getting all of the parties involved to come together to make it a successful situation.
Yeah. One thing I actually did was I actually blocked the times out on my calendar. So I build in time. If there is like during COVID, I build in the time that I actually need to check on them and make sure like, hey, everything's okay. Build in time to eat. Even if I don't eat, at least no one can really book meetings during that time. I know you all know about just skipping meals, but on my calendar every week, if anyone goes to my calendar right now, you're going to see 3 times that are blocked off until eternity. And that is just to protect my time, my sanity. Because one thing is, if you don't respect your time, no one else will. So the first thing is just understanding that you own it. Like, own it. Don't feel like you're an imposter. Know that you're valued. And then really, I like blocks. I do blocks of time. So if there's something that I want to accomplish, I kind of just block it out. Like I used to say, this is when I make all my calls. This is when I update all my presentations. This is when I reach out. This is when I update Salesforce. Like that, those were the type of things that I blocked off. And then sometimes when I am just spent, I'll just log out for the day and I'll come back in the evening. So I know here at Twilio, a lot of us, depending on your team, we have the flexibility to, as long as you can kind of get your work done, there's an ebb and flow to it. So I've taken advantage of all of those things.
Love that. So we have this amazing opportunity as women in sales. We are making a massive impact on the companies we're interacting with. We are changing people's lives. We are helping that person get a successful project deployed that will lead to their promotion, the increase in their compensation, or the opposite. There's a high stakes, with our jobs, and a lot of lessons to be learned if we're successful. I'm curious what you all want your children to learn from you, from what you're learning from your career. I'm curious if you want your children to follow in your footsteps and also go into sales. I'm curious how you're thinking about that.
I think I want to share something around that. So before I came to Twilio last October, I was at a previous company, and it was completely different culture. I really have to give it to Twilio on the fact that they say, hey, now we're all going to take a week break, nobody work, just go out, do whatever you need to do. And this is not even like a holiday. It's just, they just created a week to take a break, and they're doing it like consistently. So for me, that's like surprising. So I want my daughter to see that there's always, if you are in a situation that's not ideal for you, whether it is at work or relationships or in school, that you don't have to stay there. You always have to have the mentality to better yourself, whether that is by self-learning or being in a situation that is better for you, for your future, for your mental health. And just kind of like, that's what I want her to learn. I said, she's been like working day in and day out. But I think that's at this point in time what I would like her to learn from my experience in sales and getting it, hustling. Of course, you always want to have a personality, like a go-getter and positivity. That's kind of like my message to her.
Mm. So we got a really good question here. And Tiffany, I'd love to hear you chime in on this. She says, when I block out time, I find that my working day is shorter. I have to catch up, make up the hours after my kids have gone to bed. But often, given the age of my youngest, I find I'm really tired and can't focus on work. Have any of you ladies experienced this? Does it get better as you get older? And how do you manage it?
Yeah.
Very interesting.
I think my question would be, what are you blocking your time out to do? Also, one thing that I notice about myself is I have prime hours. I have the hours that I'm most productive. That's from about 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. So I try to do the most mentally taxing tasks during that time of the day. Now, obviously, when you have small kids, it changes. So does it get better as you get older? I can definitely answer that question. Yes. Leandra says no, but I say yes. I mean, my daughter is 13, about to be 14. So it looks a lot different than when I had a baby on trying to press buttons on my computer. But if you have more clarity, feel free to ask more questions. But I would ask, what are you spending your block time on? When are your hours that you're most productive to have your most brain power? Try to do the most taxing times during that time. And then if you need to do things with your kids during the day, if your company and your role offers that, build that into your block time during the day. And kind of tackle that out and see how much time you're spending on the task.
I will also add to that, Tiffany, routine. Kids do follow routine very well. So when I was on my whole, hive of my nieces and my sister, we got them used that by 8 o'clock they will be in bed. And whether the sun was out, but the sun is still out, you have to go to bed. And that's it. They went to their bed, but you have to again be consistent with them and so on. So it's gonna get to a point. It definitely gets better, at least from my experience. Amit, I hope I'm pronounced that correctly. It definitely gets better. And then you get to bother them to give you the remote, although it's right there. Give me water. That's kind of
Yeah, I would say one more thing I'm going to add. My kids are on a routine. I don't even have to tell them anymore of what time. I mean, it's like their internal clock. They wake up at a certain time. They know what time breakfast is, lunch. And one thing that I've tried to do is make sure that my household runs whether I'm here or not. Because in sales, when we travel, travel is a part of it, obviously, outside of COVID. But to have the household to run, I've had people who've come in, like family, like Jill said, family who came in and they were like, oh, your kids automatically knew what to do. Everything ran and I just had to do this. So it's also easier to ask for help when my house was already structured for someone else to step in and help.
Man, you ladies I'm so inspired by you. I gotta say, I operate on a totally different level. And this is another reason it may be difficult for me to be a mother. I cannot ever stick to any kind of routines. So I actually, every day is different for me. I decide what my big rocks are for the day and I just get them done at some point. I'm very scatterbrained. I start a task, I finish it later. I always have all of my tabs open with all my different tasks that I'm working on. Everything tends to get done, but it's not in a structure. And, I've been taking advantage of Twilio's benefit we have, which is BetterUp. And it's a counseling, it's a coaching resource that Twilio offers us. And I met with my BetterUp coach and I was like, I can't stick to a routine. I feel like, I'm really scattered. And she was like, no, there's significant science that a lot of people spend a lot of time organizing their emails, making a to-do list, and it's better to just do stuff. So if this works for you, if you're, happy with your performance, with how much you're getting done, then just do what works for you. So maybe it's a little bit about forgiving yourself. So yeah, this is really interesting. I want to kind of take it back to the career question, just to make sure I can hear from you all about the sales aspect of our careers, because we've talked a lot about motherhood. I'm curious, what are you most excited about as your career in sales progresses? And let me take money off the table, besides the money. Leandra, what are you most excited about?
Well, I'm in sales operations, right? So I work with process improvements, building scalable. So for me, I can just say being at Twilio, I'm most excited about the growth because the more they grow, the more they need me. And it's like all of these new interesting and with all the acquisitions, right? We're then now having to, you know, work with these other companies and build these solutions to bring them and integrate them in. So for me, I'm excited to see like what my career path is just going to be, and in the sales operations. It's been, especially within Twilio, like it's really been amazing so far. I'm a year and a couple months in. So yeah, for me, especially like I could speak for Twilio specifically, like just watching how the company is growing and seeing how I can kind of shift my career and progress my career with that growth as well.
Jill?
Yeah, for me, it's two things. It's the quality of the people that I get to work with, like day in and day out. Like everyone's so smart that it's like I'm like, what did this person say? So I love that, right? Because it means that I get to learn each day with any team that I'm in, and then the quality of our clients too. So we work with like these global organizations, super smart people that are building these engagements, and the beauty of Twilio on the technology side is that we give them the tools, and then they go and build these amazing engagements in programs, and we're like, oh wow, you did that with our APIs. That's amazing. That's great, because it kind of like, it opens our eyes to creativity. It opens their eyes in their mentality to create something new. So I like that the quality of our clients, and the quality of our talent or of our teams, that gets me excited really every day.
I will say, it's a cliche statement, but success leaves clues. I'm pretty sure you've heard it before. But when I look at women who are successful and women who I admire, a lot of them started in sales. And I think that sales, it forces you to be uncomfortable. It forces a lot of great skills, things that you don't get in a lot of other roles. And such as public speaking, learning about, you get, even though you're in one industry, based upon who your book of business is with, you get exposed to a lot of other different industries. You're able to network, your relationships grow. You get to, understand budgeting or profit and margin and all these different things, which can just open kind of the inroads to other careers and other paths. So for me, I actually just started another position, kind of in this, and I'm actually moving over to strategy and operations. And it was because of all of my years in sales that I was able to, even though without any experience, they were able to basically, I was able to basically draw things of what they were looking for, and I was able to pull from that experience in sales. So I really believe that it is a door opener into other careers. And a lot of your top women CEOs, they either started in sales or consulting.
I love that so much, Tiffany. Your energy, all of your energy, it always fires me up to interact with the amazing women that we work with here at Twilio. I think that's one of the best parts of our culture. We are getting close to time, so I wanted to leave the group with maybe one takeaway from each of us. What would you say is your most important piece of advice, for finding balance, especially during the pandemic? Tiffany?
Let's see. I would just say that, especially like for me, who started a career a little bit earlier back in the day, so to speak, to understand that the rules of yesteryear don't apply. Even back to 2015, the rules are different, and understand that they're ever evolving. Corporations are trying to figure it out, as are you. So just give yourself some grace. Understand that it looks a little bit different. Be honest with yourself. Take time off. Guess what? In sales, you know how every quarter we ramp up. At the end of the quarter, you run hard. Build some time in to actually take a break. And just understand that there are ebbs and flows in business, and you won't always be in this season. Your needs will change, and how you interact with your company will change. And then reach out to others in your network, as well as in your company, if they have ERG support. If I know here at Twilio we have, I know someone mentioned it, the Better Up, which is some coaching that we can take advantage of just for people here at the company. We have two things that you can actually call and get a coach. I would say a coach has really changed the game for me in the COVID times. Having a coach to bounce some ideas off of and giving me strategies of how I can rearrange things to be successful.
Jill?
Yeah.
Parting piece
Can you hear me? Yeah. For me, is plan to every day, if you can, at least do that one thing that makes you truly happy. Maybe that day is it's working all day long on a project at work, and maybe the next day is like not gonna work. I'm gonna take care of my kids, or maybe the next day is I'm gonna go with my girlfriends. We're gonna go to brunch. I'm gonna go to a spa. So plan around that to have that mindset to be at peace with your decisions, and knowing that tomorrow you have another day to try and make it better and do it differently. But at least just plan to do that one thing that makes you happy, at least once a day, or at least once a week if you cannot do it once a day.
My parting piece of advice would be to make sure every interaction that you're giving somebody something of value, that they will feel like coming away from it, whether that be your one-on-one with your manager, that clerk at the grocery store, whoever it is, give them something of value. And last but not least, what do you got for us?
I would say be honest, not just with yourself, but with others, right? And really, when you need help, speaking up. I've always been like the independent woman. I'll figure it out, But with my better coach, she's like, it's great that you can do that, but you shouldn't have to do all of that, And so I had to have like these honest moments, which, with my managers, with my partner, with my kids, And so I would just say, like, be honest and really like sit in it. You might be uncomfortable in that honesty, but at the end of it, it will all work out. But it's having that, even if you're just writing it down, right? Sometimes it's not having a conversation with another person. Sometimes it's just writing it down to figure out where you are. But yeah, I would say be honest with yourself, most importantly.
Incredible. I wholeheartedly agree with everything you all said. Thank you so much to our panelists, and thank you to everyone who's attending our session today. That's our time. We hope you took away some best practices, have a nugget or two to incorporate into your day-to-day. And the team at Twilio would love to chat with you. So definitely make sure you stop by our booth. I'll be there, and I'd love to talk with you. We'll also be giving away free virtual headshots. So there's a lot of things left still to do during the summit. Hope you enjoy the final minutes here. And thanks so much.